Hey, party people, welcome to another special makeup episode of Honest Trailer Commentaries, this time for the boys. I'm a boy, and I've got some boys with me. Joe, Lon, how's it going?
Good boys.
And a couple of good boys. You got Taco behind you on the bed, and which one's that cat?
This one's Sarah.
Okay, well, it's all good. Today we're talking about the Honest Trailer. Oh, and we lost Joe. We're talking about the
already
trailer for the boys. We'll be talking about our thought process, what we really thought about it, some deleted scenes, some cut jokes. Then we're going to respond to some viewer comments, viewer hate mail, stuff like that. And then we'll tease you for next week's Honest Trailer, which is going to be a good one. So yeah, again, I'm joined by one boy, Lon Harris.
Happy to be here. Happy to be a boy.
And I gotta say, I actually haven't really conferred with you on your overall boys' thoughts, but this is a fun show. I like it.
Yes, I mean, it's a little too much for me sometimes. Like, I feel like I get it. It's a very edgy universe. You guys are just like go for broke, anything for a joke, violence, constant craziness. And like, I feel like every once in a while I'm like, okay, a little far. Like, I don't want to blow. I'm not going to ruin anything from season 2, but there is a moment. Patton Oswalt does a guest voice, and it's just like, okay, I get it. It's so much that it's almost like making the whole show a joke. But in general, yeah, I like it. I think it's got a lot of depth. It's more complex than you think it's going to be when you start watching, and I like the world that they've created.
Yeah, I agree. And we won't go into season 2 spoilers because I haven't seen it and I'll be upset. Joe, what do you think?
I like this show so much that I cut my own internet. Just
so edgy. You cut yourself on that edge.
I cut my internet into pieces. It was my last resort.
Hey.
I like this show a lot. I think season 1 uses the shock value and sort of like the 8th grader edginess of it all, sort of in service of, what they're sort of trying to say in their commentary, I think, pretty well. I think season 2 starts to do a much better job with it, to get things a little past, just wouldn't it be crazy if superheroes were corporate sellouts, or whatever. But I really enjoy the show. I think, the performances are what really carry the show over the top and, really take it leaps and bounds above, say, like a Kick-Ass or maybe even like Snyder's Watchmen if you're trying to just really like think of stuff that's like trying to talk about superheroes and what it would really be like, man. But, Homelander, Anthony Starr's performance as Homelander is just absolutely bonkers, and it blows me away that he hasn't been nominated for Emmys. And
all right, enough shilling for your brother, okay? We get it. You guys are related.
Us stars have to stick together. And then Carl Urban is so obnoxiously frustrating and charming, and New Zealand Jack Sparrow is great, and yeah. I adore him.
Yeah, I think we've gotten our fair share of what if superheroes were bad at this point, and isn't that cool if they did really gross sex stuff in your face? But I think that correct me if I'm wrong, but like I think this is the best take on the corporatization of the superhero industry, which I think makes it hit as well as it does, especially in this era where superhero franchises are these enormous corporate moneymakers, and everything's market tested, and everything's image managed for a demographic. Like I haven't quite seen that real take on superheroes before.
Right. I think a lot of the depiction usually is like, what if superheroes were like reality stars or on the news every night? But we haven't really seen like, what if they got purely commodified, like turned into product, made into TV shows and films and podcasts, and like, what if that dominated celebrity culture, which is a really interesting read, and also strikes me as like that is probably what would happen. Like it's not only an interesting take, but it feels oddly realistic in a way that some of these other franchises kind of don't.
I think it's also a really smart adaptation, because I think I've seen a lot, especially like in the comments for this trailer and stuff. People are like, "Oh, if you think that character's edgy on the show, wait till you read the comic." And usually they're referring to someone who's like, "Oh, he doesn't just pee on his friends. He pees on it. He pees on dead people. He pees like it's just it's even edgier. Oh, also he likes kiddie porn, or also blah blah blah. And so I think it's a really smart adaptation where they're not and not to completely shade the comic The Boys, but I think just like with Kick-Ass, they've pulled back on this adaptation. They're like, okay, like let's take the feel and the tone and let's really own in on like what we're trying to say.
Yeah,
So
there's a layer of abstraction and distance to a comic that you don't get when you're watching a real person pee on a dead body, if that's indeed.
Yeah.
And I also think, I mean, like, it goes beyond just like power corrupts. Like the first episode or two, you're like, I get what this is throwing down. Like if superheroes were real, they'd be so much more powerful than everybody else that they'd become, self-serving, narcissistic jerks just because that they could. And that's what happens to people in positions of power. And it is about that on one level, but it does go deeper and it does start to look at who the heroes are and how they're cogs in this even larger system. And like many of them have also been victimized by it at other times. Like it is adding layers onto just the kind of baseline. Like if superheroes were real, they'd use their heat vision to like burn your face off.
Don't you dare talk bad about the Injustice franchise on SJU or on Show Commentaries. How dare you?
Yeah.
With that, let's watch the honest trailer for The Boys. Hanging with the boys.
a good song. After a taste of the sunset.
Amazon Studios invites you to enter the most brutal, harsh, unforgiving world since Amazon's warehouses in The Boys. See what the DC universe would look like if Zack Snyder never had to take a studio note.
Then my grandchildren got incinerated. Lamplighter had burnt them alive so thoroughly, there weren't even teeth left.
Where Superman
he
is
doesn't
a
take
stone-cold
studio notes.
psychopath.
Until
Wonder
the
Woman
Justice
is
League
a
and they
jaded
forced him to.
alcoholic. The Flash is a junkie who's lost his edge. Aquaman is a sexual predator. Martian Manhunter is a creepy perv. Batman is pretty much the same. And they all work for a company with the outward-facing cheerful polish of Disney, but the internal money-hungry killer instinct of also Disney.
Sequel after sequel after sequel.
Step
Pause.
into the adorable.
I mean, the ironic thing is going to be, a couple ironic things. One, this is an Amazon original, and it's like the most anti-corporate show on TV.
Yeah.
And then the other is like, with success, we're getting a Boys season 2. And I promise you, they're going to, if this is a hit, that they're going to make more and more and more Boys things.
Boys season 3 is already greenlit. It was greenlit before season 2 premiered. That's true.
Yeah. So the snake is fully eating its own tail at this point.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's making fun of the fact that these characters have been commodified, but it is commodifying these characters. Like, if we don't already have the 7 Funko Pops, like, they're on their way for sure.
Yeah. I think you
say they're on their way like it takes anything to make a new Funko Pop more than like switching a paint
Months.
color.
I mean, it all starts in R&D, where scientists spend months coming up with how to get Homelander's epaulets looking exactly right. Like, there's a lot more that goes into this than you
Look, there's a lot that go. They've got to think about like shelf balance for YouTube sets, and like there's a lot that goes into the where they place those eye dots. Spencer,
Listen,
come on, man.
Chester Funko did not start this company in 1874 to half-ass Homelander pop.
Gosh,
Oh, God, I want to meet Chester Funko. I bet he's playing with devil sticks. He's got like a jester's hat.
He made the first Civil War Funkos.
Yeah, Stonewall Jackson Funko. It was good.
They were made out of corn husks. The Zack Snyder thing's interesting too, because like the weird thing to me about Snyder is he he's also loves to plug commentary into his superhero stuff, but sometimes I'm like, I don't know, he's more just like, but that's a good thing, right? Instead of being like, I don't know, this show with the Zack Snyder never takes a studio note. It's like, yeah, but I don't think he's aware. Whereas The Boys is very aware of like what they're doing.
Well, not to derail this into a snide off, but I feel like his take on Watchmen and in BVS, it's like superheroes, if they were real, they would be tempted by evil. They would be feared. They would be way more brutal than the sanitized comics presentation of them, which is bad, but also awesome. Like it's a little bit muddled. It's like it's presented as bad, but depicted as epic and awesome. So it's like there's a mismatch between what it's telling you and what it's showing you for me. But let's not talk about Zack Snyder more than we have to.
Sorry, you figured out how to vocalize my point, which I was making very badly. Whereas he's like, it's bad, but it's awesome, and the Boys portrays it as bad and
kind
awesome.
of funny.
Like, awesome, but also kind of funny, because awesome is the only way you can package this without it just being oppressively bleak.
Sure.
Like, it's just part of
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like Fritz Lang said this about war films, too, that, like, you can't make an anti-war film that's truly an anti-war film because war is, like, cool on screen. I'm sure he didn't say cool, but, like, war is fun and exciting because it's an action scene in a movie no matter what. So even if the movie is about, like, this is bad and war is awful, it's still kind of like getting you excited to watch it in a movie. And I think superheroes are kind of the same way. Like, no matter how down on them you are, superpowers are awesome and they look awesome in movies, and we can't help but be like, oh, that's cool when we see it.
Mm-hmm. Breach. All right, let's keep watching The Boys.
Wait, one more thing I want to say. That this really threw me. The actress who we saw in this clip who plays Ashley Stillwell's assistant is also in I'm Thinking of Ending Things. And the whole time I was watching I'm Thinking of Ending Things, this actress keeps popping up and like, how do I know you? But I didn't want to like look it up in the middle of the movie. That's the connection. So if you've seen those movies.
Another good film. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Colby Minifie is her name.
Okay. One to watch. Lon's one to watch. Colby Minifie. Let's keep going.
Step into the adorable shoes of Huey. He's a pansy who comes from a long, proud line of pansies.
You don't have to fight. You never have. Neither do I.
Who's cultivated the power to back out of literally everything.
I don't want to go to a second location with you.
I don't think I can do this anymore. I need to go home. No. Okay, no. No, I can't.
Cover him! No, I can't do this.
No, I can't do this. I can't do this. Let me out.
But Huey will go full Batman when they kill off his Robin. And join The Boys, a vigilante group dedicated to keeping superheroes in line. And by in line, we mean dead. Featuring this extremely French guy.
Un moment, s'il vous plaît. You don't stir. You fold. Now that's what makes them spongy.
This extremely
pause for a second. We can talk about The Boys as characters, but I don't fully understand what the point of The Boys is meant to be. Like, they seem to have some sort of semi-legal authorization, or like somebody kind of does anybody hire them, or are they really just completely rogue?
So here's how I see it.
Yeah.
Billy Butcher, not Billy Business, completely different Billy. Has his vendetta against Homelander.
Yeah.
Started that vendetta. Somehow linked up with, and I don't think we quite know the history of, somehow linked up with Mother's Milk, who also has a vendetta against Vought. I guess that connected them to Frenchie, who's just an arms dealer, and they probably needed weapons.
But they have like a semi-CIA backing?
Yeah.
Yeah, weren't they all brought together by Mallory, the older lady? And she was the one, I think, who had the government
connections.
And the idea was to keep superheroes in line. But like, what? Why do they hire a bunch of random thugs to just like
my thought
crack their knuckles in a superhero's direction? Or are they really an assassination squad?
I think they're kind of... I think my thought was that, like, Vought is so big and probably has so much of the government bought off that the CIA has to do as much, like, off the books.
Yeah. It feels it just feels a little Suicide Squad-ish to me, of like, if Superman goes rogue, we're going to need this juggalo girl with a baseball bat.
Call Crocodile Man.
Yes. Crocodile Man's
He's
unavailable.
Scaly. Then get me an Australian with a boomerang that has a GoPro on it.
What if they need to climb? Yeah. Oh, I'm just the guy.
What if, okay, so we're very low on boomerang Australian guys. What if we gave you a New Zealander who has no boomerang?
Yeah, no boomerang. And he'll be backed up by a guy who works at an off-brand Circuit City. But he knows his stuff. He knows
his stuff.
If you can get me a Japanese woman, even if she doesn't have her sword that traps the souls of its victims in it, we'll take her.
You said traps the souls of... I thought you said a Japanese woman trapped in a cage, and she's the victim.
Understandable.
Okay.
They look remarkably similar, though. Those.
Sorry, we got this invoice real mixed up. The only other thing else I have to say on this section is... a big bit of response we got was my least favorite kind of comment on these, which is, I can't believe you guys didn't mention that Simon Pegg was the visual basis for Huey in the comic. And it's like, just because we know. It's just...
Oh, I didn't know.
I knew.
It's not... Okay.
Sometimes facts aren't jokes, and so it's hard to put facts in a joke video.
We should just tag everyone with a series of just rote observations, Easter eggs and fun facts.
Pop-up video during the Honest Trailers. So in addition to the jokes, you just learn little tidbits.
Do we start a new video series called Cinema Knows? And every time we know something about the thing, there's a ding, and then we say the fact and then move on.
I feel like that's most guys watching a movie with their wife or girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's...
Movies, Mansplained. That's our new show.
All right, let's. Speaking of which, let's go back to the boys.
Spongy.
This extremely into his girlfriend guy.
Because if you watch that episode of Downton Abbey, then I'm going to be one behind and we're not going to be able to binge watch together. You know I'd much rather be at home rubbing on them toes. Baby, you're right.
This extremely MacGuffin girl. And this Cockney a-hole, who everyone is extremely unhappy to see.
Congrats on your promotion, Susan.
What are you doing here? I thought we agreed that you were never going to come out here.
Means you brought that 40,000 you owe me? I mean, why else would you show your face around here?
Oh, hell no. The do you want?
You're like the f***ing mold on my laundry room tiles. You scrape it off, comes right back.
Monique.
You know, come to think of it, no one's happy to see each other on the show. I guess friendship just isn't edgy enough.
Don't give the game away. Not until this frog gets what's coming. He's me on your mother.
Speaking of
pause. I feel like I hope they address this in season 2 or flesh him out, because Carl Urban aside, and even he's a bit of like a heightened cartoon character, like the boys were the least interesting part of this show. For me.
Get better.
Okay. Great. Give me better boys would be my note for season 2.
Well, one thing we
the
really
better boys
haven't...
hero.
It's weird that we never established, like, Frenchie and Mother's Milk's personal... Like, we give Butcher and Huey very personal drives to do this. Those two just seem like they're kind of like mercs for hire, and, like, they're taking these huge risks. It's so dangerous. It is, on some level, like, without knowing what they have invested, we're just like, why are you here? Like, why wouldn't you just leave? I am not through season 2. I'm really hoping that gets more central.
Yeah, and Kamiko, aka the female, she, like we said, like what more is there to say than MacGuffin? It's like we must protect the special girl who doesn't talk. I feel like you see that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that does. That does get deepened at least a bit in season 2. We get more into her stuff.
All right, cool. Yeah. Okay, keep going.
Also, we're accent.
Speak.
I realized.
What's that?
Everything that's mildly European, I think the three of us think it's Cockney. I realize we're accent deaf.
Is it not? They're all speaking with a Cockney accent, right? Everyone on the Frenchie, Kamiko,
French Cockney accent.
Butcher. French Cockney.
One of them French Cockneys.
All right, great.
All right, good.
Speaking of edge, prepare for a show that feels like it was written by these two.
He sneaks up on the deep, and then boom, bursts it down.
Makes a shark bite translucent off.
That isn't content with just show.
This is something Lon brought up, but we didn't work into the trailer at any point. It seems like the Seven and superheroes in general are the only pop culture that exists.
Seth Rogen. We also do see
Girls.
Seth Rogen and the Spice Girls were clearly also famous in this world. But yeah, like...
But that only serves to like underscore that other pop culture exists, but nobody ever really talks about it. People are obsessed with the Seven.
Yeah.
Every TV show.
Every piece of merch, every magazine cover, every TV show, it's constantly superhero and Seven and Vought focused. There's like not a lot of room for certainly other superheroes. I mean, I guess we're to assume that like DC and Marvel maybe don't exist in this universe, but like no Star Wars, like nobody's into Pokemon or whatever. Like it's just the Seven.
I think someone makes a Star Wars reference at some point, but yeah, everyone's just very VOD obsessed, which it's like, I mean, also not too far off the mark. I mean, like look at the difference for us when we put out a Marvel Honest trailer versus E.T. or
It's true. I don't know, like one indication of like what's the Fast and Furious like in this world? Like maybe Translucent's in it, but also Vin Diesel, like something. I don't know.
It's weird because they even have superheroes starring in their own movies. Right? Like they don't even have actors portraying them.
Right, like, well, Citizen Starlight is going to be a movie, and yeah, Translucent had that whole series with Seth Rogen, apparently.
Yeah.
Or Black Noir, maybe. I'm blanking which one.
But the A-Train's girlfriend, she was in like a CW version or something like that.
Right,
Cinemax version.
She's in like lower budget cop movies or whatever.
You have to be an actor too. That's tough. That's a tough gig. All right, let's keep going.
That isn't content with just showing how superheroes would use their powers for evil, but gives them humanizing backstories in a cheap ploy for sympathy, like how this disgraced white-collar criminal has a kid.
Remember your old man?
Or how this sexual deviant has a kid.
He spends most of his free time with his son.
He's got a son?
Or how this mass murderer has a kid.
I'm your father.
Or how this mass-murdering corporate officer. You get the point. I hear Season 2 has a literal Nazi join the team, but don't worry, I'm sure she wants to have kids someday. But in the darkness, there is Starlight, the newest hero in town, with the power to cut down the VFX budget by blinding the entire screen. Watch her follow the girl in her first semester of college hero's journey.
Show us your
And grow from unbelievably wide-eyed and naive to woke AF agnostic renegade in the span of 2 months.
I'm done pretending.
Only to find that her activism can be co-opted, repackaged, and sold by the very forces she was fighting against.
Watch her stand up and fight back for all of us. Citizen Starlight, coming this fall.
This is why capitalism remains undefeated, y'all. So enjoy Season 1 of the show.
That's something I actually really liked a lot, was all of the weird evangelical stuff. Just coming from where I'm from, it's just like, yes, the first thing that would get co-opted would be some semi-religious Bible Belt superhero who's like, Jesus gave me these powers, and he would just start passing a collection plate. So just like the idea of that Bible Belt superhero circuit and like what was Capes for Christ and whatever, I was just like, yeah, this is really, really, really spot on. And her arc in Season 1 is absolutely every girl I went to college with that started college as a member of the Campus Crusade for Christ, and then a semester in was just like, is there a God, man? I don't know. Shots.
Yeah, I was sort of hoping they would be like a little more. It does feel abrupt. Like by episode 3, she's basically like her transition to this new mindset is like done, and it is kind of like inevitable. Like, well, we know that she's going to be, the stars are going to fall out of her eyes or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense as a thing that would happen to that character.
Yeah, it didn't land as strongly for me, and I think, Lon, because we grew up on the godless heathen West Coast. So,
yeah.
No Bible camp for us. Yeah. Oh well, but I hear they do better.
Hebrew school.
Hebrew school. That's a different superhero.
It's like the Jewish version of Bible camp.
All right, let's keep going.
So enjoy Season 1 of a show that's able to address everything from corporate greed to the Me Too movement, with everything from laser babies.
That was diabolical.
To finger blasting a gill hole.
Oh, that was the worst part.
In a series that reveals the unsettling truth of our superhero-obsessed culture. We're not suspending disbelief when we watch our heroes soar. We're suspending disbelief that they wouldn't burn us all to the ground.
You stay the back or I'll laser every one of you.
Save Martha? Starring.
Pause. That is my pet thesis for why superhero stuff is so popular right now. When we exist in a world where so many things seem out of our control and in the hands of like a few very powerful, billionaires or politicians and stuff like that, that the fantasy is that somebody could have that much sway over your life and want to use it for good. Like the way we fawn over like a Bill Gates or an Elon Musk, like, oh, please save us, daddy. Like that is what we're sublimating when we cheer for Superman or Spider-Man right now.
Yeah. I mean, that is the appeal of Captain America, is that he's supposed to be this ideal, draw a line in the sand, no you move, like best of us. And I think he'd be a lot more Homelandery.
And yeah, like Batman is a literal billionaire who's like Tony Stark and Batman are like the ultimate ludicrous cartoon fantasy of like, what if one of the wealthiest and most powerful people actually did want to use all of their wealth and power to help everyone else instead of just like hoard it like Smaug and like sit on top of it under a mountain, you know, like, yeah. So, I mean, I think exactly like plays directly into that, the observation that none of those people really maybe want to help us. And like, what if they did? It probably would change everything.
Yeah. Explored most thoroughly in the Michael Bay film 6 Underground. I recommend everyone check that out 30 seconds at a time or you will puke.
Yeah. Also more gory than The Boys somehow. I don't know why or how, but Michael Bay did it.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, you want to see blood spilling all over a Lamborghini while it destroys precious art, and
why are his movies
that's on my bingo card.
Gory. It's like they're not horror movies. It's so weird.
Weird choices. All right, let's finish The Boys.
Starring New Zealand Jack Sparrow,
Savvy,
Louis C.K.
What?
Let's go to the couch, have a nice warm pizza roll, and wait for this all to blow over. The IT Cowed, American Psycho, Twilight Sparkle, Adventures in Super Babysitting, O.J. Sprinson, The AA Team, The Seventh Sense, Ant-Man tease for Season 2.
Time for a few more?
I don't think it's Morgan Freeman up there or anything, but
By ourselves.
Wait, he's Mother's Milk? That's gotta be a mistake, right? Shouldn't she be Mother's Milk? There, fixed it for you. The year 2020.
I mean, just when you think this can't get any more horrible.
Nah, don't worry. Get a little more horrible.
And Exposition News, live whenever it's convenient.
Allowing superheroes into national defense?
If more people were armed, maybe I wouldn't have to save the day every time.
A-Train versus Shockwave, the race of the century.
Starlight shocking the Christian community.
Social media is still buzzing about her controversial speech.
I believe that our encounter was consensual.
What I want to know? Who's that dude that stuck his in her face? She should that in the hole.
Okay.
Swears.
All super cops are back. You need someone to tease as the big villain for the second season of your prestige TV show? You call Giancarlo Esposito.
Hell yeah. I mean, what a great niche for him to fill. Is the big bad that you tease at the end of your show.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you need. It's been a few seasons. We need some fresh blood, somebody to make things real scary for the hero. Get me Gus Fring.
Yeah. Esposito and then like Stellan Skarsgård just like have their niche conquered.
Yep.
Oh man, I can't. He's so perfect for Baron Harkonnen and Dune. What an amazing casting choice.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Oh, Dune. Dune. Which I guess not to interrupt this with the news, but there's no way Dune's going to happen this year, right? Not a Wonder Woman movie. No. It's fine. Next year will be better, guys. Just get through this one. We'll see all the good things in 2021, right?
Wear a mask.
Knock on wood.
2022, maybe?
2022, maybe? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching to this point. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and hit the bell so you get notifications. We do these honest trailer commentaries usually on Tuesdays, but this is a special double episode because of the holidays. And you'd be remiss if you did not sign up for our Fandom 5 trivia show next Friday. It's September 18th. It's going to be on Disney, the core Disney films. You can win, I believe, up to $650, which is a lot of money for knowing about Jiminy Cricket or Ariel or whatever. And there's a link in the description to get more info, and you can sign up for the Fandom 5 and win some cash. That's nice. We could all use a little cash, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a little bonding over knowledge of Disney.
That's what we do every day here. Let's talk about what we didn't put in this trailer, or as we like to call it, deleted scenes. Roll that tape.
Step into the adorable shoes of Huey, an unrealistic portrayal of a guy who works in an electronics store, but actually knows what he's talking about. Starring Carl Rural, Grudge Dread, Gilly, Baby Huey, The Flash, Call Me Maybe, Blunder Woman, and
Shut up, Peg.
The Beastly Boys, Heroes for Hire, The Justice League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
All right, I don't think anything of value was lost.
I do think that would have been a funnier beat if it was more like Gilly.
He did that, yeah. That for some reason that wasn't the take that got put in the deleted scenes. But I made sure he did a Gilly for sure. Yeah. All right, so there you go. I think we talked about everything we had to say. But what did you have to say? Sleazymeyer writes, "This was a good, honest trailer. It tells me just a little about the show. I haven't seen it, but it also, gets honest." Thank you. We try to tread that line and not spoil things. But I think that they work best if you've seen the thing we're talking about, right?
I'm always surprised when people, like, a lot of people comment stuff like that all the time, that like they watch the honest trailer either before the movie or in lieu of, and like it would seem like you'd miss so, but like I think that would be kind of frustrating.
Yeah, we don't catch everything, and I understand if it's a movie that you would never see, like. You watch, like, I'm never going to watch Ben Affleck's Daredevil. Sure, I'll check this out. But if we do a good movie, please watch the good movie.
It's a bit like that podcast, How Did This Get Made? Like, I don't listen to those episodes until I've seen the movie they're talking about because I want to catch all of the jokes.
Christopher Colbert writes, or Colbert, take your choice. "Let's be real, Ennis is great, but he has a tendency to go edgelord overload. These adaptations figure out how to take an unadaptable IP and make it available to the masses."
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Same with Millar and Kick-Ass. I think the Boys comic and Kick-Ass just get to the point where it's just like, this isn't fun. This isn't pleasant. Why am I reading this? Like, it's just brutal and sad and just like, oh, here comes the next edgy thing. Like, bleh. And I think The Boys does a really good job of cutting to the core and balancing. I know, like, I remember with like the first Kick-Ass movie, a lot of people didn't like the fact that it ends on sort of a silly note with like, then he shoots a missile at like a building and it ends on a big like kind of silly comic bookish third act, and people were like, no, Kick-Ass is supposed to be like brutal, but I feel like they did a good job of adapting it, and after like a full story of brutal shit, like, your heroes deserve some fun and they deserve a win, and I think Boys and that did a good job balancing.
All right. Speaking of which, Adam Holbert asks, "Do you think this and Watchmen are the peak of deconstructing superheroes? Is this the best deconstruction of a superhero piece of media you've seen?"
I mean, depends on what Watchmen thing you're talking about, because the Watchmen movie is...
Well, sure. Call it the book, the Zack Snyder movie, or the TV series. Take your pick.
Show, yeah.
I
don't know.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's so hard to say now, like in 2020, because this has seeped into mainstream comic book media. Like, the Marvel movies are sort of deconstructing superheroes also at this point. Like, is Thor Ragnarok the best deconstruction of superheroes, or Endgame even? So, like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but I think as an outside property coming in and sort of commenting on all of this other stuff, like, yeah, I would say probably the Watchmen TV show and The Boys are like the peak of that sort of subgenre. I
think that there's like waves of of deconstruction, because Watchmen is deconstructing like the Silver Age or whatever age of comic books, and then you have Batman v Superman and stuff, like they are deconstructing the Spider-Man movies or the early eras of superhero filmmaking, and then Thor Ragnarok and stuff like that. It's like goofy. It's deconstructing or Deadpool. It's deconstructing the dark and gritty wave of superhero
Spider-Verse
films.
Or something. I mean, that's what Into the Spider-Verse is doing too. It's like a world where it's not only about comic book characters, but they're aware of comic books and comic book characters, and it's like all existing on top of each other.
I think there's something to say about like what are they actually deconstructing too? Because Deadpool I think literally deconstructed a superhero movie. Superhero landing, oh, it's time for the third act, we have to do this, stuff like that. I think The Boys is almost less deconstructing superheroes and more deconstructing our consumption of pop culture and pop culture worship and idol worship and stuff like that. And I think season 2 gets into that more so. But I think beyond, oh, these people are supposed to be superheroes, but surprise, they're a bunch of a-holes. I think it's more about our response to them and society's response to them.
Yeah, and I mean, like, celebrity culture. Like, a lot of The Boys is really just aimed at media and celebrity and, like, how we sort of digest the world through all of these platforms. Like, I think that, it's as much about that as it is about actual heroes and villains and, that sort of stuff.
Yep. There you go. So Ross Tannenbaum writes, all the people who are giving The Boys 1 star on Amazon since it's being released weekly are a bunch of babies. Sorry you can't binge it, but calm down. Yeah, I didn't know that was happening, but
yeah, I just read about that like yesterday. Like, people are being even though they're following the same release schedule as the first season, people are review bombing because they didn't drop the whole thing. Like, Amazon never drops.
I like it better. I think serialization week to week, because you get to have more. It lasts longer, and you get to discuss it while it's going on, and it feels like Lovecraft Country. I was thinking about this too. Like, imagine if HBO had dumped Lovecraft Country all at once. Like, we would have talked about it for a week and a half, and it would have been over. Whereas
I think it's more enjoyable. I mean, I guess it depends on what else you have going on in your life, but like, I can't watch 12 hours of TV in a day, but this is the perfect balance to me of like, okay, I can binge it when the show first comes out. I can watch 3 hours of The Boys and then piecemeal it as the weeks go on. I think that's a perfect balance.
I mean, speaking of making fun of how we consume pop culture and stuff like that, I mean, that's a ripe reaction for a show like this to make fun of. Like, you're not giving us the whole show at once, so we're turning on it? Like, okay.
Yeah,
come on, kids.
That's not how you get nice things. And Ryan's follow-up question was exactly that. He asked, what do you think of the weekly release versus everything at once strategy? So
I think
there's our response to that.
Here. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan. I like that.
Yeah, so I have a chance to watch those first few episodes today in time for tonight's episode, and I love that. I can catch up. So I hope you will catch up with The Boys and with us, with every video we've ever made by the time we come back next Tuesday with an Honest Trailer commentary and a new Honest Trailer. Last week, the clue I gave was I just said that it was going to be Brave.
I'm on the same page now. I remember what it is.
Yeah, and now I'll just say that it's also going to be true. It's going to be brave and true and honest. So, Joe, Lon, thank you for being with me. Thank you, audience. Like, subscribe, do the Fandom 5, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye,
guys.